Hello and welcome back to Sacred Transformation with me, Galaxy Angie West. Now, manifestation is a topic that I'm deeply passionate about and extensively involved with in terms of how I've created my own life experience. Obviously, I'm still learning a lot, and I believe that the more we learn, the more there is to learn, because we are continually evolving and becoming more. And the universe is truly infinite. We as beings are infinite. And so there's never going to be a ceiling on what we can discover and learn and apply and evolve beyond. Now, along my path, I have come across Seth as well, who I find extraordinary and so in-depth. I mean, I'm really just scratching the surface of the teachings. But for me, what really helps is it confirms a lot for me. And this evening, I just wanted to read some of the quotes that relate to having desires or goals and my own experience of what I have found in my own life. So I just wanted to go a little bit into that because I think a lot of people can really benefit from understanding how our conceptions, how our dreams and desires, our heart's desires, really. That's the key word, okay? The heart. Because it's deeply resonant. It's got a depth, a feeling tone, if you will, that comes from the core of our being. So the more we can kind of hone in on those frequencies of what resonates with us, and that's really what I have come to realize. It's our true selves that are actually calling us forward through to our heart's desires, following our heart. And that is why following our heart is really important in life. So here is Seth, a short excerpt about goals. Your goals are usually conceptualized desires, and once formed, they act like magnets, drawing from those vast fields of interrelatedness, conditions best suited to their fulfillment. Okay. This is pointing to the law of attraction, okay, acting like magnets. Now, from what I have come to understand about life and really observe, that there's so much variety, there's so much choice, and this is, as well, helps us to identify what is meaningful to us personally. And so those desires that are meaningful, that have a feeling tone of richness, will automatically be vibrating, kind of, as Seth said there, it was so beautiful, that interconnectedness. Okay, so there's going to be some experiences and things that don't resonate, and some things and experiences that do, and certain reasons why they don't and why they do. And this is what's so beautiful about fleshing your desires out consciously, when you become consciously aware of it, because you're actually becoming more conscious of yourself. And this is what makes it so unique and so beautiful unto you, because you are so highly valued by the universe that you get to really carve out the incremental details, and those details all get arranged and orchestrated because of the interrelatedness of it, and because it's connected to you. And isn't that just a beautiful thought, that on your behalf there is so much going on when you connect with those heartfelt desires, things that matter to you, something that you find beautiful or important or relevant or meaningful. Those specific things really actually all get orchestrated and molded together by the universe, and that universal field of consciousness is kind of automatically drawing those ingredients together for you. Now, many people get tripped up using law of attraction practices because the universe does not operate in the same way that humans are so accustomed to working within, in terms of taking steps, applying action, making something happen, getting it done. When it comes to working with energy and creating on that level, things have a different way of working out sometimes to what we might like, might prefer, and definitely what we might expect. And so the attachment part that I found through my own life experience is that we can't get too attached and need something and desire it and like, what the hell, why is it not coming about? We kind of just got to be light and open and trusting. And what I found as well through my own life experience is that things come about in a very organic way to, that is in the right timing and in the right fashion. The universe has this higher intelligence and knows those steps, and sometimes we've just got to surrender and go with the flow. And that can be difficult sometimes, especially when we feel like we do want it and we need it and all of that. But it's a very personalized flow, what I have discovered, even in the unfoldment of our desires. But what I have truly come to learn is that those desires really do come about. And when they happen, it is always the right timing. And the right timing in terms of the realization of it. Sometimes we think we need something to happen right away, but if we go with our own organic pace and flow, we come to realize that there's certain reasons that we couldn't even foresee. And those desires all do come about, but it comes about in a much richer fashion sometimes than what we can even comprehend when we first setting off that dream. Okay, and just continuing with the next quote from Seth about our desires. Those desires of yours that are fitting to your nature will automatically come to pass unless you block them through disadvantageous beliefs. Now, I have personally experienced the wonder of the universe bringing me together with the right people, the right place, the right time, where my dreams were actually taking root. And I was drawn into that whole scenario, and all those beautiful aspects and ingredients were right there, ready to kind of blossom into my physical experience. And I didn't plan. Okay, I've always, for example, I've always wished and dreamed to have my own horse. I've always loved horses. I need them in my life. I just need to be around them. Ever since I was a child, I just was drawn to them, the beauty and just that feeling. It's just sublime for me. Now, I never took steps to work toward that in a sort of a linear kind of a 3D fashion. I was just had this dream, and I would always go and spend time with horses, and I would ride as much as I could and go away to the mountains, that sort of thing. And I just had this lofty vision and lofty dream of having my own one day. And that all came to pass in the most incredible and extraordinary ways. So, yeah, I can see that that is what Seth means. Those desires that we have that are fitting to our nature will automatically happen. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Right? That we can just flow through life, and beautiful, wonderful things can come into our realities and our experiences just because we resonate. We resonate with each other, we're in harmony with each other. It's deeply fulfilling and beautiful. Now, of course, what Seth is referring to there is unless we block them with disadvantageous beliefs. And that is a huge area, because when we have beliefs that counteract our desires, it really does hold a lot of stuff up. And so for me, it's just kind of mind-blowing to think that there is so much that is meant for us that we might even be blocking unintentionally, even unconsciously blocking through certain beliefs that we picked up in our lives that's really holding the good stuff away from us. And this is the true power of personal transformation work, where you get to unravel and discharge those limiting beliefs. You can identify them, and you can work with them and bring them into alignment. And I found that is a really good thing about having a desire, having it in your mind consciously, because you can start to feel and start to work with it. And then when you look at your beliefs, actually, you can do a little exercise and look at a belief and go, whoa, like, I didn't realize that I was actually contradicting so much of that. I can see how I'm not going to be a match to that. So this is where personal transformation really does come in. It plays a huge, huge, huge role, because our beliefs are powerful, our thoughts, it's all part of energy, but especially our beliefs and our expectations of what can come about. So the more open we can be, the more receptive we are to receiving those amazing blessings, our heart's desires that we've actually put out there. And as Seth was saying, they automatically drawn to us. Okay, so here is the next part of what I wanted to read to you from the Seth material with regards to dreams and goals. And he says here, when the intellect is used properly, it thinks of a goal and automatically arouses other levels of communication unknown to it, so that all forces work together toward the achievement. Now that's pretty powerful as well. Because, I think the intellect really refers largely to the conscious mind part, which is actually designed to identify those desires from this level of our life experience. And then there are larger parts of us that are connected to our inner selves and to the universe that really are the engine of bringing all that together for us. So the intellect does play a role, and it can also play a role in blocking us through the beliefs. But here is another part. Let's just continue with this. When the intellect is improperly used, it is as if the intellect feels required to somehow know or personally direct all of those inner processes. And that is what I was meaning earlier on about how we can get tripped up and really get in our own way, kind of tangle up in the energy that we've kind of set forth. And that's why this non-attachment process is very, very important, because our minds, the way our brains are actually wired, like we want to solve problems and we want to get stuff done. And so it's kind of a bit of a paradox in a way, because intrinsically all these parts of ourselves, of our being, are actually designed to work, harmoniously together and cooperatively together, yet there can be like conflicts that happen along the way. And this is what Seth is referring to here, where it wants to know, how's it going to happen, I need to do this, or if I can do this, then this will happen, and then this and this and this, and like we can really kind of get really knotted up in the whole process, and it is completely unnecessary. But let's continue with Seth here, and this last little quote, this last excerpt here about the intellect. The intellect alone cannot bring about the fulfillment of those goals. It must count upon those other properties that it does indeed set in motion, that spontaneous array of inner complexity, that orderly magic. Now, those are beautiful, beautiful words. And it just, to me, this is a good note to really take a moment and pause on that, because there is a complexity about it, and we really don't need to have a hand in it. And when we allow ourselves to kind of surrender to that higher order, that higher intelligence, that is when that magic can really work for us in the most incredible ways, because we're open, we're like children, full of wonder, and just simple daydreaming, like when we were kids. That's very, very powerful. We were so naturally tuned in to the cosmos as children, and unfortunately that gets trained out of us from such an early age. The children are connected to the wonder and the beauty and the magic of the universe. It's an important thing to try and rekindle that space within us now, as we have grown up. Some of us maybe haven't at heart, and that's a beautiful thing. It's just to keep that openness, that sense of wonder alive inside of us. And that really creates and cultivates a space to allow for the most amazing orchestration of events for us. I just have to read that last line again because it was actually so beautiful here. What Seth was saying here. So he was saying that the intellect sets it in motion, and that's what I mentioned earlier. When we have an idea and we recognize something and we go, wow, isn't that beautiful? Like, I would like that, or would like to experience that, or whatever is a moment of recognition. It's a resonant moment actually with a part of ourselves. And so that intellect sets it into motion, and then the larger parts of us that are connected to the infinite field of energy, that does all work for us. And he just sums it up so beautifully here. He says that spontaneous array of inner complexity, that orderly magic. Ah, that is beautiful. There's definitely an order to it, and only the universe knows that higher intelligence really does know. And the more we can kind of become non-attached and practice that, and cultivate a space of trust and thanks, it's a space of gratitude for what is taking place for us. We don't need to manage the energy. We don't need to jump in there and figure out how it is all going to come about. We just need to be light about it and enjoy it just for the simple idea of it, for the pleasure of the idea of it, for the beauty, or for whatever beautiful qualities that this item, this goal, this desire, whatever it is, means something to you. And that's all we need to do. I've experienced this kind of magic a lot in my life, and it's been incredible. It's people, everyone needs to experience it. That love and just the feeling of how acknowledged you are by the universe when everything kind of culminates and starts moving toward you and you toward it at the right time. It's very orderly, and there are reasons that we may not understand at the time, but there's always a very good reason. There's a higher reason and a higher order to things. So we've just got to be light and non-attached and playful, and help ourselves be in more of the flow wherever we are. And then when we do come across things or goals, desires that we feel are we've got a lot of resistance toward, that we have resistant beliefs, limiting beliefs, that is where we need to apply ourselves and do the inner work to clean up those limiting beliefs. Those limiting beliefs didn't just come from anywhere, and they certainly don't come from your true self or from the universe. Okay, in life, this planet, we pick up a lot of things that have nothing to do with the truth yet, because we experience it, and we have, for whatever reasons and circumstances that we have experienced, we take on those things, those beliefs about ourselves and about those things as being true. And those can be very limiting and can actually really block our dreams and our desires and all of that goodness that we are naturally worthy of having. So personal development work, personal transformation work is incredibly important. That is something else that I am very much involved in, is doing these kind of modalities to help shift people's belief systems that will allow them to be the vibrational matches to the beautiful lives that they want to have, that they are worthy of having. And the only thing that holds us up, all of us, is just these limiting beliefs. So cultivating trust is a very important aspect of walking this path, and I'm sure you can begin to see why, because we sometimes need to be non-attached and let go and feel out of control in a sense, and hand that over to a higher power. But our souls really have the greatest vantage place, and the more we can cultivate our relationships with ourselves, all the parts of ourselves, our aspects of ourselves, and our soul and our source, we can really begin to nurture a space of greater trust, which will allow us to flow through our lives in a much lighter, more nourishing way. And here is a really lovely recommendation from Seth. And this is when the intellect does get in the way. This is when we catch ourselves in the process of worrying about the how, or trying to like resolve things on our own and getting all tangled up in our minds. And here is this beautiful suggestion to say to ourselves, okay? Say, that is not my realm. I will leave the solution to that problem or goal where it belongs. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.